What's up, everyone? So it was recently reported that the Celtics are going to lose Jayson Tatum for the next 10 to 14 days due to COVID health and safety protocols. This is an absolutely devastating loss for the Boston Celtics. If Tatum is to miss the next 14 days, this would cause him to miss 7 games for the Boston Celtics, which is a good amount. Losing most of these games could cause the Celtics to slide down in the standings. Boston has gotten off to one of the best starts in the NBA. They currently sit at third in the Eastern Conference at 7-3. Tatum has been playing at an MVP level for the Celtics, averaging 27 points, 7 boards, and 4 assists per game. He's been an unstoppable player for the Boston Celtics, even having a 40-point game against the Toronto Raptors, so the Celtics are losing an insane amount of production over potentially the next 7 games. And while the Celtics are a top 10 offensive team, the scoring on the team isn't very well balanced, as they only have 3 guys on the roster that are scoring in double figures. So in this video, let's take a look at this Celtics team to see how they can compensate for the loss of Tatum over the next 2 weeks. But before we continue, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, as it really helps my channel grow. Now let's get started. The most obvious player that will need to step up with the loss of Tatum is Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown has already stepped up his level of play with the absence of Kemba Walker. He's currently averaging 26 points, 6 boards, and 3 assists per game, which are superstar numbers. But the absence of Tatum, Brown is going to have to be even better over these next stretch of games. He's probably going to have to average over 30. But the way Jaylen Brown is playing right now, he's proving that he's more capable of handling the offense all by himself. Brown's confidence with the ball in his hands is through the roof. He could score in so many different ways. He's got a really nice handle where he can break down defenders and get all the way to the basket. He can run pick and roll where he can get into his good pull-up game from mid-range, and he's just as good pulling up from 3 as well. Brown is just able to beat defenders in so many different ways, and he's doing it while being very efficient, as he's currently shooting 54% from the field. What's also taken Brown's game to the next level is that he's become a very good playmaker. Brown is now extremely comfortable dishing the ball to his teammates driving to the rim or making the cross-court pass to find the open shooter. Brown has already stepped up his level of play to an extremely high level, and there's no reason to think that he can't take it to an even higher level to make up for the loss of Tatum. But Brown is going to need more help on offense for the Celtics to win games. The supporting cast of the Celtics will need to play at a higher level. Probably the most important player on Boston after their big 3 is Marcus Smart. Smart has improved in some areas for Boston this year. His 3-point shooting is up, and his playmaking has been good, as he currently leads the Celtics in assists at 6.2 per game. But while Smart has been good in his role, he's still only shooting 35% from the field. He's been fairly inconsistent. Sometimes he scores a high amount of points on efficient shooting, other times he can't make it anything. Smart is going to need to provide some consistent offense for the Celtics team with Jayson Tatum gone. He's shown he could do it in the past. In last year's conference finals against Miami, Smart averaged 17 points per game, which helped to push Miami to a tough 6 games. The Celtics are going to need that Marcus Smart over these next 7 games. He's going to need to be more aggressive on offense. He needs to attack the rim more, continue setting up his teammates, and finally start knocking down his shots at a high level. If Boston could get the Marcus Smart that was in last year's playoffs, they should be able to make up for the loss of Tatum. Another guy who would need to step up is rookie sensation Peyton Pritchard. Pritchard, who was the 26th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, has been an absolute steal for the Celtics, currently averaging 9 points per game, or 51% shooting from the field and 42% from 3. He's a knockdown outside shooter, and he's feasted on open looks thanks to playing next to 2 great offensive talents in Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. In order to compensate for the loss of Tatum, I think the Celtics will have to consider moving Pritchard to their starting lineup. Pritchard would give Boston a higher level shooter, and Boston will be in the need of more offense with Tatum out. Another role player that looks like they'll have an increased role is Semi Ojeleye. Ojeleye has turned himself into a quality role player for Boston. He's a good defender, and he's become a knockdown shooter, currently shooting 41% from 3. The way Ojeleye is shooting the ball, I think he needs to be in the starting lineup for the time being. The offense looks to be run completely around Jaylen Brown over this next stretch of games, so they should be surrounding him with as many high-level shooters as possible. If Ojeleye can continue to shoot the outside shot well, he needs to be made the permanent starter because his 3-and-D abilities are a huge asset next to Jaylen Brown. Daniel Tice is another guy who's going to need to step up in the absence of Tatum. Not only is Tatum out, but Tristan Thompson and Robert Williams are going to be out due to quarantine protocol, so the Celtics are pretty rail thin at center. With those guys out, Tice will likely have to play over 30 minutes a game. Brad Stevens has been experimenting with Tice at the 4 quite often, but I think that Tice belongs more at his natural position at center where he could have more of an impact. Tice isn't a legit stretch 4. The center position is where he belongs because there he can score at the rim at a high level while being a good rebounder and defender. Tice has played heavy minutes at center and thrived in that role before, especially in last year's playoffs, and he's going to need to do that again for Boston to thrive without having Jayson Tatum for these next 7 games. Overall, I believe those are the main guys that Boston needs to step up if they want to keep winning with Tatum gone. What would really help Boston would be a quick return of Kemba. Kemba has been cleared to practice, but we don't actually know when he will return on the court or how he will play coming off that knee injury. Kemba could need some time to regain his rhythm, so the return of Kemba isn't something that I would bank on over these next 7 games. The Celtics will also need to start playing much better defense, as they only rank 19th in defensive efficiency so far this season. The Celtics defense has looked better as of late, but they will really need to step it up and be a top 10 defense in order to make up for the loss of Tatum. The Celtics have started off the year playing poor defense before and picked it up as the year went on, so there's no reason that they can't do it again. Not only does much of the supporting cast need to score more, but they need to do a better job of saving points on the other end in order to win these games. But overall, I think these are the main guys that have to play better for Boston to survive this injury. Anyway, guys, that's going to be the end of the video. How will Boston fare over these next 6 to 7 games with Tatum out? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe and enjoy the rest of your day.